Hello, everyone. I'm Erica.
And I'm Akila.
Welcome to Heart Chat. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Heart Chat. We are back with more relationship questions. So let's get right into these. The first one, why do men feel it's okay to require a list of perfection from women, but when women require the same, we are seen as picky or needy?
That's an interesting one because I feel like I see a lot of this type of question in like social media and like on the memes and things like that. Like, why do men feel this way but don't allow it from women or vice versa?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this really depends on the person per se.
Just generally speaking, I do think it's a society type of thing, a societal thing. You know, there's songs that it's man's world. I'll give you a prime example. I remember a long time ago, Tierra Marie came out with that song Sponsor. And we can go into all kinds of things about that song, it's right, wrong, whatever. But I remember it being taken off. I think this was back when 106 & Park was on. I remember it was taken off, like the video was banned because of the message. Yet for years, there were so many videos and songs like Trip Drill and all those type of things that degrade women. So I think sometimes it's just kind of like men can do this and the women can't, or we expect that from a man, but women don't have the say, because for years, like, women didn't have a say or, you know, what have you. But with this question, speaking, you know, personally, I actually had somebody tell me that I had too many requirements and I need to lower my standards or I'm never going to meet somebody. That's what this guy told me. And, I'm like, obviously.
I was just about to ask you, who asked you that question?
Yeah.
Like, in terms of, you know, the characteristics of the person.
Yeah. So I think because of society, maybe some men feel like they can do that.
Yeah.
They feel like they can require this, that, you know, from their woman because, you know, women are supposed to do X, Y, Z. So, and then with women, and if a woman requires that, no. So I think it's a society type of thing.
No, I can definitely agree what you said, Erica. It definitely stems from the societal point of view and then kind of trickled down, because you're absolutely right with all the examples you gave. Like, the minute a woman will say something like that, it's kind of like, oh, well, you should just take what you get.
Right.
Versus having the right, or, you know, knowing what she wants and going for it. That's it.
Right. Exactly. We could spend the whole time talking about that one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So our next question is it a good idea to share a bank account with my significant other? I think that really depends on you guys having a conversation about finances in general and determining what your qualities are around your finances. Because there are some people who are really good with their money, and then there's some people who are really not so good with their money. So you don't want to run into a situation where you're sharing a bank account and you go to do something, you realize there's no money there because your significant other has taken the money out. I'm not against shared bank accounts at all. My significant other actually don't share, but I felt like that's just so much easier because we have such separate bills. I can barely keep track, you know, of my own stuff, let alone his. So, and I think nowadays it's much easier because there's like Venmo and Google Pay, and like when we pay bills together, we either just send money to each other. So I mean, it's kind of like a joint account, but not at the same time.
Like you were saying, I think it does require communication, a conversation about this. It does require a lot of trust and knowing each other's spending habits. And I think with this situation, talking about like, okay, is this like an emergency fund or is this just one bank account? Like, I don't have a separate one. You don't have a separate one. This is our one bank account. Got it. Because if you've got, you know, we share, this is our joint account, but we also have separate accounts, then, you know, you can kind of pick and choose which one you want to use, which one you want to pull money from. Definitely a big conversation needs to be had if you're going to share just one bank account, because, you know, if you want to go buy some clothes, go on a shopping spree, and they're like, oh, I didn't know you were spending all this money. Well, this is what I always spend before. Or
Exactly.
it's my money too. And
Yep.
it goes into like, who's putting in more money and all these kind of
Yep.
things. So a conversation needs to be had about this. So I wouldn't say necessarily, a bad idea to share a bank
No.
account. You just have to have some conversation about it and a clear understanding. So be clear about that. Our next question, should we move in before marriage? And we had a question like this before, but it was similar, but it wasn't about marriage. So this one, again, a lot of these questions, it just depends. If you want to, it depends on your beliefs. If you believe that, I don't want to move in before marriage, we shouldn't move in before marriage, then don't. You can still have your relationship. You can still have a healthy relationship. You can still, know each other without having to move in, because some people really feel like, well, you can't really get to know somebody if you haven't lived. That's not necessarily true. You can still get to know somebody intimately without moving in. But, on the other hand, if you do decide that you want to, move in before marriage, it's different. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
Living with somebody in a relationship than when you don't. So it just really depends on what you want to do.
And I agree with that completely, Erica, what you said. One of the biggest things is it is completely different living with someone than kind of not living with them. I mean, even to the point of like, say, even if you spend most of your time at each other's places, you still have the option of going home. If somebody starts getting on somebody's nerves. So when you move in with someone, it really is like a big decision. And I agree with what you said, Erica, kind of like, what is going to work best for you? If you have the belief of not moving in before marriage, okay, that's your belief too. But if you don't and you want to move in, go ahead. It comes down to the communication between partners and what their expectations are as well. So if I'm saying personally speaking, yes, but I guess I'm a little biased. But but if you were to ask an older person the same question, I feel like a lot of them would say no. I think it really depends on the person, your beliefs, and what you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that question depends on a lot of things.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, so our next question is, at what point do you call it quits? And I'm assuming, this is any type of relationship, whether it's a marriage or not married or been together for a long time, all those things. At what point do you call it quits? I really think that depends on your level of happiness and the level in which your needs are being met. Now, most relationships, you're not always going to be happy. I'm not saying at your first sign of happiness, you should quit your relationship. No, what I'm saying is if you've had countless amounts of conversations with your partner and they are just not, checking in and doing the things you're asking them, being true to your boundaries, being true to the needs that you have, and it's just not working, then that would be more of a sign to maybe call it quits. There's always relationship counseling. And if still things aren't being done, then it might be time to call it quit.
Right. I agree. I think everybody has a threshold. If somebody's constantly like hitting that limit, passing it, or, boundaries are being crossed and you don't feel safe and you don't feel secure. All those things that you said, Akila, I think can be some indication. And I think like what you said, number one is your happiness. If you feel like, you're just not happy. And sometimes things could be just fine. Things could be going, just fine.
Yeah.
But you just don't feel happy. It could be something else. It could be your relationship. But if we're speaking solely about your relationship, if you just feel like, I'm not happy in this relationship, because there's people that on paper, everything looks good. Everything looks fine. This, that's going good. It's going good, but you just don't feel happy. Then, hey, that might be an indicator.
Absolutely.
Next question. What if you don't get along with their family? So, Akilah, I think we're probably thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
That we want to know more.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to know more. And this sort of sidebar, this kind of reminds me of Wendy Williams when she does her Ask Wendy, and she's like, what's your name? Where are you from? How old are you? What do you do? Like, she wants to know the background. Because us too, that matters. Like, you don't get along with their family.
It really does.
You know, how old are you? Are we talking about like, you know, a teenager or an adult person? Is this single, engaged, or married, or like, you know, in a long-term committed relationship? What happened? You know, what happened? Did something happen? Or is it you just don't mesh well? Or sometimes there's families that have different prejudices against you, you know, just because they don't like you just because. So.
And sometimes it's not even about you. They just like the last person that your partner was with and can't get over that.
Yeah, so there is a lot to it. But just generally speaking, like we say, having a conversation about it, communication, talking with your significant other, you know, getting their thoughts on how they think you should best approach this situation. That's one way of going about it. It really depends on the toxic level because we don't really know what's going on. So sometimes there's situations where you can talk about it and try to meet on some common ground. There's other times where it's just too toxic and you have to just say, okay, well, I'm going to do me over here and I'll see you guys maybe I'll see you on a holiday or whatever, but I'll be cordial and that's it. That's all I can do.
Everything you said, Erica, is exactly right. You know, sometimes it may not be able to be fixed. And how do you move on from that? Especially if you want to be with this person for the long haul and long term. It's kind of sometimes just best to put in boundaries. And this is what you'll accept. This is what you won't accept. And is family important to you guys? Because there's also, you know, family is not always important to everybody. And is it a situation where you don't see the family or you see them like once a year because of this? Like, I think it really comes down to also how you feel about family in general.
All right. I completely agree. So we'll stop it there and we'll pick up with some more relationship questions next week. All right. So as always, you can send your relationship questions to our Instagram. You can DM us. You can email them to us, which is contact@heartschat.org. Or go on our website, which is heartschat.org. All of our information is on our website, and our information is also on our Instagram, which is heartschat. And then we'll answer your questions on another Q&A episode.
Absolutely. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Heart Chat today, where we speak from the heart. We hope that you enjoyed our show. Catch us weekly on our YouTube channel and our website, which is heartschat.org. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages @heartschat.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or topics that you would like for us to talk about, email us at contact@heartschat.org. And for all of your personal relationship questions, visit our website, heartschat.org. Click the From Erica's Heart tab to ask your question anonymously, and we will respond within 24 hours.